Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 2023 Latinx Kidlit Book Festival. Woo! All right.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm Stephanie Rodriguez, the author and illustrator of Doodles from the Boogie Down, a middle grade graphic novel set in the early 2000s that follows a tween named Steph as she does whatever she can to get in high school of the arts, even if that means lying to her friends and family. Today I will be moderating our Would You Rather game. Please read our anti-harassment policy in the chat box. And don't forget to subscribe to the Latinx Kidlit Book Festival's YouTube channel. And if you're a school, classroom, librarian, or educator joining us, our school visit is packed. You can enter to win a free virtual visit from a Latinx author or illustrator for your classroom or library. You can find the link to the entry form in the chat. Now I'll have our panelists introduce themselves. Woo! All right, drum roll. Which one am I gonna pick? So tell us a little bit about. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your book.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amparo Ortiz, and I am the author of Saving Chupie, just a middle grade graphic novel, slightly fantastical or slightly realistic. So it's kind of a hybrid genre there. And it is about Violeta Rubio, a young girl who moves from Florida to Puerto Rico so that her grandmother can reopen her restaurant here after Hurricane Maria. But there's a chupacabra on the loose, and now she doesn't know if she's actually its enemy or its friend.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
All right, who would like to go next? Who would like to...
I can go next. I'm Angela Cervantes, and I'm the author of The Cursed Moon. And my book, my latest middle grade fiction, is a scary story. I love scary stories, and so I wanted to write one really bad, and thankfully my editor and agent were on board with it, so I'm grateful to them. And it's a story about Rafael Fuentes, who is a major scary storyteller. And one night he tells a scary story during a blood moon, and everything starts to come true from his scary story. So that's my story, The Cursed Moon.
Yay!
Awesome. Hi, I'm Yamile Saied Méndez, and I'm the author of many books for young readers. And today I'm going to be talking about Calling the Moon, 16 period stories from BIPOC authors. And yes, it's all about periods. My story, part of the team, is about Angela, who is the only girl in the basketball team, and she gets her period in front of everybody. And it's about her coming to terms with this super important part of life that we all go through. Every human being has to go through puberty. and how she deals with going through it in such a dramatic way.
Right, that
Very
was
good.
wonderful. Thank you for all the beautiful introduction. Let's see. Let's start our game. I think we'll have like a little slideshow going up. And so all these questions, some of these are pertaining to everyone's books, and some are just for fun. And so we're answering these questions as if we were the main character of each of our books. So, would you rather middle grade edition? Let's go. All right. So our first question is: sing along to every single song you hear, or dance to every single song you hear. It's the same question. Oh wait, dance to every single song you hear. Okay.
You got excited. You got excited.
I got really excited. I jumped to conclusions. Yeah. Maybe I'll go first for this one because my character stuff, she's a bit shy, so I feel like either one of these things she would do at home alone. But she's a fan of like pop bands like NSYNC. My book is early 2000s, so I think she would be dancing
Totally.
to every single song she heard. Choreography. What else would you dance? Let's see. Amparo, what do you think?
I think Violeta would absolutely dance to every single song because she would probably not know a lot of the songs in Puerto Rico because they're mostly Spanish. Of course, we do listen to music from all around the world. I was going to say the country. Yes, of course, the country. But I feel like she would struggle with non-American songs. So I feel like she would just dance more than anything else.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. All right. Anyone else would like to take their 2 cents?
Yes, that I will say that my character Angela, she's not a singer, and she is the youngest child in her family, so her Spanish is a little rusty, as it usually happens in a family that's living in the continental U.S. But she will still sing all the songs, even if she butchers the lyrics in Spanish.
Nice.
That's very me, actually.
Me too. I do that with the English lyrics. My kids look at me like, didn't say that. Mom.
It's like this popular trend of people
mind.
discovering the real lyrics later on in their life. They're like, oh, that's not what the song said.
No.
Interesting.
That's a rough one. All right, well, let's move on to the next one. Next question. Let's see. Ooh, okay. Would you rather write scary stories for a living, hunt chupacabras, any other mythical creatures? Anyone want to jump in for this one? So, some of you guys, these are very particular to some of your books.
Yes, I think Angela should answer first.
Well, for sure. I mean, Rafael Fuentes, my main character, would definitely want to write scary stories for a living. That's what he does. He loves to scare his friends silly. He loves to write scary stories for his teachers. So he would definitely be into writing a scary story for a living. But I also think he'd be kind of cool with hunting chupacabras también.
Yes.
So I do, yeah.
I think Violeta would hunt them, but she doesn't really believe in them until she sees a chupacabra. So she would just hunt them to prove her friends wrong and to kind of laugh at them and be like, y'all are weird for thinking that these things are real. And then she's like, oh, they're actually real. I'm the strange one. Sorry.
My story isn't really scary, but I was gonna say, like, I guess if Steph wanted, she would probably hunt for chupacabras, but would be stopped by her mom because she's not allowed to do those kinds of things.
Yes. Yeah. So chupacabra, to answer Zoe's question, it's a mythical creature that looks kind of lizard-like, and it has fangs. It has a very sharp tail. It's got very sharp teeth, and it's known to be aggressive. But it is not so much in my book, Saving Chupie. It is very adorable, cuddly, and it values human life above most things.
Aww.
Just don't hunt them in real life. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't hunt them in real life.
Leave them alone.
Leave them alone, yes.
Leave them alone.
And also they vary in size. They can be as small as an 11-year-old child, or they can be adults, and they can be very, very large, even taller than the first basketball player you come up with. Taller than him.
Wow.
Man, time for spooky season.
Yes.
Alrighty, let's go on to our next question. All right, swim in a pool of Nutella, or or swim in a pool of maple syrup. Ooh, that's tough. Well, one is sticky, and the other one's creamy. Both are
Yes.
delicious.
I would eat my way out of the Nutella.
Me too. I would choose Nutella every time. Well, not
Nutella
me,
for sure.
Angela.
Sure, let's pretend that
Yes.
Angela is the one answering this question for you. I
Yeah,
personally
it's-
wouldn't mind either, but Violeta would be more of a Nutella person as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Nutella too. It's just the other one's just a sticky situation, so
Yes.
we'll avoid that. Let's go on to the next question. All right. Walk through a tropical jungle by yourself, or walk through a spooky park in the middle of a thunderstorm.
They're both terrible.
Shamila's like, neither.
My character is like, hey, I'm a city girl, like small city in Utah, but still a city, so neither one. But I
It's
think
like,
she
thank you.
would rather walk through a park in the middle of a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
She could call
I
her
think Violeta
teammates
would
and her
choose the
brothers.
park as well. Yeah, even though she does go through the jungle, she doesn't want to do it by herself. She's terrified the whole time. So the park would be more familiar territory for her, and the jungle is more foreign for her.
Yeah, and for Raphael, he does walk through a spooky park in the middle of a thunderstorm.
So
this
much
is
braver
what-
than me.
This is what he does. Yes, absolutely. So he would definitely choose that.
Yes.
Yeah, he's not new to this. This is
Not new to it.
Exactly. Let me see. I think Steph would. Yeah, I would agree with you guys. Like Steph would walk through a spooky park in the middle of a thunderstorm. Hopefully with a strong umbrella.
Yes.
Alrighty,
Or a
next
poncho,
Yeah.
question. Yeah, see, yeah. People forget
because
about
the
ponchos.
lightning is a problem for the umbrellas, no?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Oh, right, exactly.
I have like a
Avoid that.
thing for that. Yes, jungle bugs. Oh no.
Oh,
I had
no.
forgotten about them.
Love, bugs have a purpose. We love bugs, but
The class rather good at the jungle.
That
Yeah.
class is very brave to be more like you guys.
let's move on to the next one. All right. Oh, same one we had before. Oh, nice. Okay. Eat your weight in empanadas or eat your weight in ice cream.
Yum.
Oof. For my character stuff in the book, she does a lot of like snacks, and I feel like I threw empanadas a couple times. So I'll go with eat your weight in empanadas.
Now I want empanadas. See, this is
I was
the
going to
problem.
say the same thing.
Amparo, you live in the land of empanadas, so
Yes, I think Violeta would choose that because it feels more family oriented to her. Food is very family-esque for her,
Yeah.
and her grandma or her abuelita can definitely whip something up that is savory and not very healthy for her.
Yes. Yes,
Anyone
I would
else?
say that it depends on the time of the month, because Angela would say empanadas, but when
Right.
she is going through her period, she'll eat the ice cream.
Yeah.
She needs some sweetness in her life.
Now I want both.
Now, I would
Both. She's an
I would
athlete
eat ice
after
cream,
all.
but I think Raphael would eat empanadas for sure.
Yes.
He loves his abuela's empanadas, so he would eat empanadas.
Oh, so delicious.
like some
I love how
comments
we're
here.
just torturing ourselves right now.
Yeah, 'cause it is lunchtime here, and I am hungry.
And it's so true. Why have to choose one over the other one? Because they're both delicious.
Yes.
Alrighty, let's go on to the next one. Ooh, okay. Would you rather spend the summer rebuilding your grandma's house or working with a mom at a doll factory? There's a type.
Yes, I recognize the shout out. That's to one of the stories in our anthology that Aida Salazar wrote. The main character, works at a doll factory with her mom when she gets her period. And so it's a beautiful story about a child doing grown-up work, and having that time to connect with her mom and the other women in the community. So I think that not Angela, but the character in Aida's story would choose to be with her mom.
That's cool.
Mhm.
Wow, now I want to work at a doll factory. I would probably be
Spooky.
scared the whole time. Yes.
Yeah.
Freaked out.
Yeah, I would just be playing. Well, I guess my character stuff. Yeah, she would just be playing around with them.
Yeah.
Not.
Interesting. I would be creating, or not me, Violeta would be creating a backstory, an intricate backstory for each doll, and make them kind of have some sort of mission to complete, so that it's more action adventure for her and she doesn't feel like totally bored. But yeah, she would rebuild her grandmother's house. She would be more excited about the doll
Yes.
factory.
My character Rafa lives with his grandparents, so he would definitely be into rebuilding his grandma's house
Yes.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
definitely.
that's a child. Not like my main character.
Yeah, I mean, like stuff like, man, she goes off in her own little world. So definitely playing in the doll, playing with at the factory, not working, playing with dolls, creating great stories. All right, let's go on to the next one. Ooh, would you rather never be able to text at all ever again, or communicate only in emoji?
Emojis all the way.
Same. I think it's easier to communicate everything nowadays with emojis because they're more specific. And Violeta is very expressive. She does not keep anything to herself. So emojis would just heighten whatever it is that she was saying.
Yeah, for Raphael too, I think. I think Raphael is really into texting his friends, and but I think he's gotten some really scary texts before. Really spooky ones while he's walking in the spooky park at night. So just some scary messages pop up. So I think he would rather communicate only in emojis and never be able to text at all ever again. I'm just thinking probably that's what he would choose. Yeah.
Yes.
Does he have a favorite emoji, or do you think that he would have a favorite emoji?
I think the ghost emoji would really appeal to him.
Very on point.
I think anything moonlight would probably appeal to him for sure.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Ooh.
There's an eclipse emoji also.
Is there?
Yes.
I want to see
I struggle
that.
with like the moon phase emojis, and like I never really know what to use them for.
Right.
I'm like that's lovely. Good for them for existing.
I know. How about you?
Oh man, well this is a tricky question because my book is set in the early 2000s, and it's a different technology. Let me see, but I guess like let's put stuff in like a more modern era for a second, just to answer this question.
Yes.
I think she would communicate only in emoji. I mean, like, there's so many things you could just like communicate to her friends in that way. Like, and she would probably use the art palette emoji.
Oh,
Because
that's so pretty.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
See, that's one I've never personally used.
Is there I'm pretty sure there's an empanada emoji. Or am I making that up?
There's the dumpling one that can pass as an empanada.
I'm gonna take the dumpling and just make believe it's an empanada. So she would definitely be using those two. Probably.
Yeah, I think the emoji would only be for texting, and I love how no one is choosing to never text at all. It's like, no, we're not. You're not giving up our texting ever.
Yeah.
Well, we have to communicate in some way, like. So an emoji. I feel like you can get a lot across that way.
Yeah.
Why not? Let's see. Maybe we should move on to the next question. Ooh. Would you rather spend a week in the forest or a night in a real haunted house?
Violeta would choose the forest, and I would choose neither. I choose safety and comfort.
You can go glamping in the forest. That's
Oh
what
yes,
I do.
but it can't be, a haunted forest. I know it's a haunted house, but imagine a forest that's haunted. Which would be worse? An open space that's haunted or like a smaller space? Anyway,
Smaller
I'm at a question to the already there question.
Well, this is good. Let's keep it going. 'Cause it's a conversation. I feel like I would be more terrified of a forest, like you're saying, like a haunted forest. Because, like, I don't know, at least, like, in a house, you know that you're in a house. A
Yeah.
forest is endless.
Right.
You know what I mean? And there's holes and things, and, like, I don't know. I feel like that's really spooky.
And I also feel like the rules of hunting will confine the ghost or the hunting entity to the house itself. Whereas
Right.
the forest, it's
Yeah.
just, too big.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Okay.
Those students are very brave.
Yeah, I think I would choose a haunted house because I think the ghost would only be in the haunted house and I could just get out of the house, right? and be fine.
Exactly. Mhm.
And I think Raphael, for my book, would definitely choose a haunted house just for the stories that he would get
Yes.
inspired to write. I think
Right.
he would be brave and spend one night in a haunted house just for the cause of storytelling. You know what I mean? To come out of there with lots of inspiration.
Just for the craft.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. You have to sacrifice for the craft,
Yes.
So, yeah.
I think the scariest part for me about haunted house is the fact that they can shut the doors, they can shut the windows, and I'm not claustrophobic, but I would feel like, how do I get the ghost to cooperate with me? I'm like, we're a team. Let's work as a team. What do you want?
Well,
What
maybe
can
the
I get
ghost wants to get out too.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, then why would it shut me in?
Because it needs help. It needs a body to go into.
I'm like, okay, let's put our heads together. Work together.
Okay, wait. I don't really answer this because I was just like really stuck on the haunted forest topic.
Right.
I think Steph would pick a night in a real haunted house. Well, my character Steph is based off of myself at the age of 15. And I actually really enjoyed the haunted house. There was a haunted house in Coney Island in New York that was amazing, and I used to beg Mom to go there. So, like, that's definitely her vibe. Alrighty.
She's very brave.
I think I have one more slide. Oh no, that was the last one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this does really well. These are like so specific and a lot of fun too. I think we can bring up some questions from the audience and Q&As.
Well, somebody had asked what empanadas are.
Oh, yeah.
It flashed briefly, and I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry, you don't know what an empanada is.
Like a haunting, yes.
Yes.
So this is a loaded question because empanadas are different in different Latin American countries, right? So, and we're all from different places. This will be fun. So Julia asked, what are empanadas? Who would like to go first?
I think in Puerto Rico we call them empanadillas.
Yes.
So it's supposed to be, depending on where in the country you are, there's a raging war between the West and the East in terms of how to call them. But for the most part, if you're on the right side of history, you will call them empanadillas. And essentially little, I want to say some of them have cheese mostly. They're stuffed with, could be cheese, just cheese, or it can be vegetables, it can be chicken and cheese, etc. Some of them have like pizza empanadillas, so they're a little bit more flavorful. Those are personally my favorite. And you usually fry them, and then that's it.
Yes.
Delicious.
Like you said, I think every country has their own method and recipe, and they're basically like a dumpling. Like in every culture, there's pockets of love. I call them.
Yes,
you know that
shout
like
out.
it doesn't matter what the dough is made of. Some countries is wheat, others corn. Like if you're from Venezuela, you'd have arepas. You know.
Oh, now I want corn.
Now we're also hungry. Like I'm from Argentina. In Argentina, we have like in the north part, you have salteñas. In other parts, people put potatoes, or in some families put raisins, which I think is a heresy. My mother-in-law used to put raisins and raisins. No. Yes. But and they can be sweet as well, and you can fry them or bake them, and they're like a dumpling.
I do believe samosas are also quite similar.
Yes.
Yes.
In texture, at least.
Yeah.
But I think samosas are smaller, closer to dumplings, and empanadas and empanadillas are tend to be bigger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But we're not
Yeah, I
biased or anything.
No, I grew up. Yeah, I grew up with fruit empanadas when I was little.
Oh,
So,
really?
like piña, pineapple, or
Yes.
apple or something. But it wasn't until I was in college that I had a chicken empanada. And it
Right.
was so delicious. And so I actually prefer the savory, salty savory,
Mhm.
So do I.
than
Same.
the fruit ones. And my husband is Bolivian, so I've had salteñas, and those are my
Yeah.
absolute favorite. And they're
Yes.
when we try to describe them to people, we describe them as meat pockets.
Yes.
Mhm.
Exactly.
The dough is, this like a nice little pastry, and it just depends, and it's crispy and delicious on the outside, and then kind of soupy.
Yes.
And inside
Mhm.
is really delicious. But I love empanadas, and I'm very grateful that in Kansas City we have 2 Colombian restaurants here that serve
Ojalá que-
Bless
delicious
them.
empanadas. Yeah, because I don't make them. Forget about it.
Same.
I have no skills in that area, so I'm very grateful for the restaurants that can make them well. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So very similar to Amparo. So I'm Dominican, Steph is Dominican. So we have very similar style empanadas.
Oh, yes,
I believe-
yes.
Yeah, Dominicans also call them pastitos.
Así.
Oh,
But
nice.
it's essentially the same thing. It's a pocket of dough filled with either beef, chicken, or cheese, or sometimes it's a combo of beef and cheese.
Yeah.
There could be a pasa, a raisin in there. Surprise.
Yes.
And a little bit sweet. I know it's like a little controversial, but each person does it a little differently. But pastelitos, aka empanadas, are usually fried, and they're my favorite thing. And recently, I went to DR in 2019, and I had breakfast and pastelitos, which are basically egg and cheese, which is
Mhm.
pretty cool. So yeah, you can literally fill them up with savory or sweet.
With whatever. Yes.
Yeah.
I can talk about empanadas forever, because I remember for Holy Week in Argentina, we had tuna empanadas or fish empanadas.
Oh,
and
nice.
when oh my
I've
gosh,
never
yeah.
had either a fruit or a fish one. That's
When I see you next
interesting.
time, I'll make them for you, Amparo.
Oh my goodness. I'm never leaving.
Yes.
Let's see if we have another question. Oh, okay. Hola, soy un estudiante y la que pregunta cómo se le ocurren estas historias, algo las inspiró. Oh, okay. Does anyone want to I'm like, how can I translate this quickly? Does anyone want to help me out? Let's see.
Yeah, so-
how many I'm a student?
Kim.
Oh, I'm just
So-
want to go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Kim is asking how our stories, or how we come up with our stories, if something inspires us. Can we answer in both languages?
Yes.
Sure.
We do Spanish, I guess, first, and then English after.
I'll be brief. En mi caso en particular, todo me inspira. No puedo decir que una sola cosa me inspira, porque no tengo control sobre lo que va a pasar cuando interactúo con otras personas, o cuando estoy leyendo, o cuando estoy escuchando por mi cuenta. No tengo control, así que todo el mundo está disponible para inspirarme. So essentially, I don't close myself to opportunities. Everything that I listen to, that I read, people I chat with, all of it is up for grabs in terms of how I get inspired. And that usually helps, because by not limiting myself, anything is possible.
That was beautiful.
I love it.
Yay. Anyone else want to go?
Bueno, en mi caso también, todo me inspira, pero yo creo que mi alma se quedó estancada en ciertos puntos de mi vida, y para mí tener 11 años es una edad tan importante en la vida de las personas, que por eso me encanta escribir para middle graders, porque me acuerdo muy vívidamente cómo se siente tener 11 años. Y a los 11 años de nuevo, perdón que yo siempre estoy hablando de periods, pero de eso se trata mi libro, esas son experiencias que te marcan para toda la vida. Entonces quería escribir de eso para hacerlo un poquito más normal. Es una parte de la vida por la que todos pasamos, y cuanto más conocemos de este tema, más lo normalizamos y menos miedo le tenemos. Creo que a veces la gente tiene un poco más de miedo de las cosas que le pasan al cuerpo que de monstruos. Entonces, por eso quería escribir sobre este tema. Y siempre lo tengo pendiente, aunque no esté escribiendo específicamente de cosas que le pasan al cuerpo, pero siempre lo tengo pendiente cuando estoy escribiendo mis historias.
Gracias. Thank you so much. Okay. Angela? No, Angela, can you hear me?
Oh, sí. Hola. Perdón, en mi caso no hablo español, so por eso voy a contestar en inglés, okay? So my inspiration for all my stories, like my Spanish is very little, so I like to practice it, but I don't like to answer a question in Spanish because I'm too nervous. So in my case, I'm going to answer it in English, and I would just say that all my inspiration comes from my real life. In all my books, I try to stay true to one principle, and that is that I write the stories I wanted to read when I was a kid.
Yes.
And growing up, I didn't see a lot of Mexican American girls in books, yet I had tons of girlfriends and family and community around me that were so amazing, full of life, full of adventure, so funny, so rebellious that I couldn't imagine why they weren't in books. They should have 100 stories for them.
Yes.
So that is always my inspiration for every book. I take it from my real life, and I will never run out of stories or inspiration because I had such a great childhood full of people all the time. So I don't think I will ever run out of stories because I just have so much inspiration from the community that was around me growing up, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna answer mine in Spanglish porque
Oh, I didn't know.
I am more comfortable in English, but I can do both. Para mi libro que me inspira, bueno, mi vida, criándome en el Bronx, en Nueva York, mi familia. You know, I grew up, like, I was bullied a lot as a kid, so I have a lot of, you know, stories about that. You know, I feel really connected to my middle school self a lot. And I want to protect her and celebrate her too, you know? So like, I look back at my life and try to, you know, there's so many like funny moments that I feel a lot of people can connect with and relate to. So yeah, I just try to, you know, mi vida es mi inspiración, mi familia y mi amistades. So yeah, I just like look back to my life and pull out all the funny things and put them out there in books. Thank you guys for being troopers, hablando en español. We're all like, you know, we're fluent or a mix there. So, okay. Ooh, would you rather go into a friend's world or go into each other's world? Ooh.
Each other's world. I'm tired of my own books in my head.
We already live there, so yes.
Yes.
Let's go.
It would be such a fun time for me to just be able to live in each story as myself and just talk to the main character. Even though I'm much older than the main character, I'm like, this is the right thing to do, but I'm going to let you make your mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm going to be over here if you need an adult.
True.
Yes, I really connected with Calling the Moon, because like, I mean, we didn't. It's not like periods aren't mentioned in Doodles, but that's definitely the age, you know, where many, you know, people who get periods could get them, and it was just really beautiful to read those stories, and then think about like how Steph handled it on her own. You know, it would be a lot of fun to explore that on my end, you know, like a period story, because I'm very embarrassed about mine, and my mom would send me to the store to buy pads, and I was so scared. Just
yes.
Like, you know,
It's overwhelming. It's so much to think about.
Oh, okay, thank you. My students love saying that went away. I couldn't read it that quickly. But anyone else want to comment on who would, I guess, jump into other books? Like.
I think I
I
want Rafa in Shadows. In every single Our Shadows Have Claws stories.
yes,
I think
absolutely.
that specific gift of being able to tell scary stories and be that brave to face everything that is frightening for other people, regardless of culture, I feel like that would be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes.
I mean, I would never be him, but
Definitely. But I don't know about all of you fellow authors, but sometimes, when I'm writing something, I wonder, what if I'm writing this and it comes true? Perhaps that's
oh,
why reading Rafael's story was so visceral, such a visceral
yeah,
experience for me, because I mean, in a way, uh, I've thought about that too. What if, something I'm writing comes true? And when it's, something fun and exciting, it's a good fantasy, but when you're writing scary things,
yeah. I
that's a thing.
actually, not to talk about this type of thing, right? You're not derailing the conversation, but I did write a short story that came true. Like the things that I wrote about actually happened to me. It was not a
What?
horror story, don't worry.
Give us more details. What?
Yes.
What story?
It's a soccer short story that you might know.
Yes,
And
yes.
yeah, we have another collaboration coming up. We're both contributors in an anthology that is called Out of Our League. That one is not middle grade, it's young adult. But the story I wrote for that specific anthology, a lot of that came true.
Ooh,
That's exciting.
Manifestation.
Manifestation.
Manifestation. That's right. Wow.
Yes.
beautiful. Well,
And now we must manifest $1 million. Yes.
Yeah. 7-figure deals for everybody.
Yes. Absolutely.
Ooh, my students are asking, would you rather be a bad writer or be surrounded paparazzi all the time?
I'll choose the paparazzi.
I'll take the paparazzi. I'm already a bad writer.
Paparazzi.
You're not, Amparo.
Stop, please.
It takes effort. It takes effort to be good.
It
So-
does.
and a lot of
It takes effort.
patience.
Absolutely. Yes.
Paparazzi, you can photograph me in my dragon onesie all you want. I will be charging for those photos.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would rather be photographed or followed by paparazzi. I have my glasses on, no pictures.
Yeah.
You have to get a hat.
My book, like a different book
Yes,
every
you
day.
can promote your work. You're like going to get
My
coffee. Here's my book.
Just roam around with it.
I really should get still. Oh, I'm pointing at the wrong place. The cover, get it on a shirt.
Yes.
Big shirt, some leggings, some comfy shoes, big glasses.
Imagine
Yeah.
there's like a Gossip Girl-esque website for authors like out and about. Spotted.
They're just like
Yamile
us.
Go
Spotted at
fast
the
to get
library
coffee.
again.
Yes.
Leaving the library, going into the library. Yeah.
Yes.
It's such an
Yes.
exciting life.
Such an
She's
exciting life.
feeding again.
Eating empanadas, ordering
She
it
is
again.
opening her laptop.
Yes.
She is typing in the Word document. Incredible. Or Scrivener.
She
I
is
have a
on
question.
Twitter
Is it
again.
Scrivener or Scrivener? I say Scrivener, but I think it's Scrivener.
I say Scrivener. Also.
Oh, Scrivener.
Scrivener.
Yes.
Scrivener. Yes.
Yeah. Only catch me when I'm looking good. Ooh, would your main character rather get a new pet? What kind? Or foster a pet? Ooh.
This is so cute.
Mm,
Hmm.
Okay.
I love Stephanie's face.
Foster a pet. I would, foster a pet, definitely.
would
I
foster
mean,
a pet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think
A
Violeta
puppy.
would foster because, she's into the rescuing aspect of having a pet.
Mhm.
So if she fosters, she can keep rescuing. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that Maya Angela would get a pet because she has a hard time saying bye. It would break her heart every time. So,
That is hard, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I think Rafa would foster, and maybe even get a new one, but I think he would foster because he's really got this rescue complex. He likes to rescue people
Yes.
around him. He likes to rescue his sister. He wants to rescue his grandparents. He kind of wants to rescue his mom, but doesn't know how to do it. So I think he would definitely get into the feeling of
Yes.
rescuing an animal. Yeah.
I love that.
Students in Irving, Texas, want to know what your favorite scary story is. Ooh.
So many.
So many.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I have mine. I don't know if it's my favorite, but the one that made me a horror obsessed child was when I was a very young. I grew up in Argentina, and back in those super olden days, we didn't have uh, streamers or even satellite TV. You got the channels that you got on TV, and you saw whatever the person choosing the program wanted you to watch. And so I remember got my mom sent my brother and me to bed, and but she stayed up watching something on TV. So we lurked, into the kitchen. We stood in the hallway, just peeking into the darkened kitchen, and we could see the TV. And it was right in that moment a scene of a vampire boy hovering by a window, trying to get his friend to open the window for him. And that's a scene from Salem's Lot, an adaptation
right.
of Stephen King's book. And that was a mini series, and I had no idea what the show was about, but that image of the boy, and I'm like, don't open the window. And my brother and I, we must have been like 9 and 8 because we're a year apart. We started sleeping, making our fingers like a cross and sleeping.
Stay away from us.
So no vampires would come into our room. And that's
Exactly.
But even though it was so scary and terrifying, it made me really curious and a lover of everything horror forever and ever.
Cool.
That's incredible.
So me growing up in a Mexican American community, my favorite ghost story is La Llorona. This pretty much dominated my whole childhood.
Yeah.
Everyone had a story of seeing La Llorona, who is the crying woman. I think she has a different story depending on who's telling the story. But in my childhood, from my abuelos, my grandparents, they told me it was a woman who had her children had died. She was to blame for their children dying, and so now she searched the world looking for her children, and she would call out your name, like, Amparo, and she would call out your name in the middle of the night. So you wanted to make sure that you were home by a certain time, because La Llorona would come out at night.
Yes.
If she saw you by yourself, maybe getting into trouble or hanging out too late, she would come and get you and drag you back to the river. So that story has been in my whole entire life, and I've always been scared of La Llorona. So that was probably my favorite scary story.
I love it.
We also grew up La Llorona in Puerto Rico, but I feel like for me, in terms of things that I've interacted with, it's mostly movies.
Yeah.
So the first time that I saw, for example, Child's Play, I think it's the actual title of the movie, but Chucky, we all know Chucky.
Yeah.
I feel like for some reason, anything that is that communicative is frightening for me, because why are you talking so much? Like, why? If you're just a ghost and you're just there kind of lingering, that's fine. You're still scary, but something that can emote, something that can speak so much, like anything that you can imagine in a scary movie that can move quickly and speak to you, that's probably what I'm terrified of, which is why I was scared of La Llorona growing up, because she does speak to you, but not eloquently. It's just your name. I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Two is spooky. Let me see. Well, you did mention Child's Play, like Chucky, and that was such a thing when I was like growing up. And I remember going to the theater to see that movie with my mom, and I mean, it's terrifying. Like a doll that just like gets up and like walks around and is trying to get people. Like, so scary.
And he delights in causing trouble and pain. I can't do that.
Yeah, and no one expects a doll, to be doing
something that you sleep with or sleep next to, have like games with, and it's just like it's there. It can speak to you in any moment. No, thank you.
That's scary.
Yeah, but I guess what helped me not get too scared, and maybe this is why I enjoy scary movies. Well, my mom was there, and she was laughing so hard. She loves Chubby. She thinks he's funny.
Yes.
Yes, he is quite
And
the
Chubby. And
I
so yeah, I
love it.
guess like that made it a little bit lighter, and I can look at it from a perspective. So
Yes.
yes, but just keep him away from us. We
yeah.
don't need him.
Do we have other questions? Ooh, would you rather have been rewarded a lifetime worth of books or a lifetime of reading books?
Like writing a lifetime worth of books?
Am I reading this correctly? Would you rather have been rewarded a lifetime worth of books or a lifetime of time reading books? I don't know if I am, but I guess we'll try our best.
I think
like the
do you
time
want
to
to collect? Yes.
Yes, the
Collecting
time.
versus actually reading all of them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Collecting versus
Oh.
reading them. Oh.
That's my
Exactly.
problem.
That's
It
essentially
is.
the problem we all have.
Yes.
I mean,
think
I have a
would-
stack of books
Yeah.
I haven't read.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty much living that right now. I have tons of books and I don't have time to read them. And I keep saying I'm going to get to them, but then I don't because then something else comes up.
Yes.
So that I'm living that. That struggle is real.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I would like to be afforded any time, even if it's
Yes.
an hour, to read
Yes.
a book.
Definitely.
That is not my own writing
Yeah.
or my students' essays and short stories.
Are any of you like your main character or completely different? Ooh, that's a good one. Who would like to
That
go
is a good
first?
one.
Well, maybe I'll go first because mine is like very. It is me.
I love that.
Yes, I'm very much like my main. Well, I was. Maybe I still am.
Yes.
Like my main character, Steph. She's very timid. But she's also very determined. She's still growing up and like trying to figure out how to like communicate her feelings to her friends. So like when one friend says something that hurts her feelings, instead of like directly telling them, she kind of like starts hiding from them and keeping them away from her big plans. So yeah, I was definitely like that, and I think I kind of grew out of that as I got older. But I'm still that shy kid, you know, that loves pop music and empanadas. Definitely.
Yes, relatable.
And Nutella.
And Nutella, yeah.
And Nutella.
Yes, I think in some ways I'm a lot like my character Angela because I love sports. Even though I'm so short, I could never be a basketball player. Like maybe for a team for short people. But at the same time, I was the oldest daughter in my family. I'm the oldest daughter, and so I had my personality was a lot like Rafa's, protecting my mom and my siblings. So in my story, I gave Angela 4 older brothers because I always wanted to have an older brother, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna give her 4 to help her and protect her, and you know, like and she and then I turned that stereotype of the one girl after so many boys. She's not a princess, she is a very athletic girl, but still connected to her femininity. Sometimes we think that, you know, you have to be either or, but we can contain multitudes. So in that sense, she is a lot like me, except that she's luckier because she had 4 older brothers.
Cool.
That's beautiful. I think I am like Violeta in the sense that she's a big daydreamer and she will talk to animals and pretend that they are already friends from like years ago, and the animals will just leave her like, I have no idea what's happening with this child, I will leave. And even with my own pets, that happens a lot. They're like, oh, okay, I'm bored, bye. So we are very much similar in that sense. However, she tends to be more extroverted. She will tell people exactly what she thinks. And at my younger age, I wasn't like that because I was very much a people pleaser, and I wanted everyone to be my friend. I wanted everyone to like me. And as I've grown older, I've become more of who I am, and that comes with shedding the people pleasing. So I feel like Violeta is trying to find herself, but at the same time, she knows exactly what she would never do and what she doesn't like. And yet she keeps learning that she will evolve throughout her entire journey as whoever she wants to be eventually.
I love it.
Yeah. I think I'm a lot like Raphael in the sense that he's been writing stories since he was a kid, and I've been writing stories since I was a kid. And it's really a coping mechanism.
Mhm.
So, he is really, through his scary stories, expressing how he deals with bad things in his life, the real life monsters. And he's had a pretty rough upbringing, but he's got his grandparents who love him. They've been like a stable force in his life. So in that way, Raphael and I are a lot alike, but he is a lot tougher than I am. He's not afraid to like shout back at someone if they shout at him. He's not afraid to defend someone because he's had to. So he's a little rougher around the edges than I would ever be. I was raised a little differently, but I think that's why I liked him so much. He really reminds me of a lot of kids I grew up with who maybe didn't have all the protection they deserved in their life growing up. So they learned to defend themselves and be untrustworthy of other people because that's how they survive. And that's what fits them for that moment. And so I really do, but he has a little bit of hope running through him. And I think you see it through the story that it gets stronger. At least I hope that comes across. And I always have tons of hope. I hope, and I always feel like no matter how bad life gets, there's always hope for a better tomorrow and hope for people. So I think we have that in common too.
I love that.
Yes.
Aw, yes. So I guess we're all very much connected to our main characters.
Yeah.
About being an
Because-
author is that
Yeah, they all come from us. Even the bad guys.
Even the bad guys.
exactly yes. Yeah,
Yes, I have a lot in common with the chupacabras. Absolutely. Yep.
But he's not
They
bad.
get a bad rep. They get a bad rep. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We're gonna do like a little speed round of questions, so we'll just like go quickly, like to try to answer
Okay.
questions here. So what inspired you to write for kids instead of adults?
Adults are boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see. I think I could answer really quickly. I started my career doing like self-published books, so those were kind of more adult. But I did have stories from my youth that I really wanted to share, and it just so happened I got to, here it is. Put it, make it a quick novel and like for kids, So that was a lot of fun, and I definitely want to make more in the future.
Yeah.
Anyone
I
else?
can answer. Yeah, I would say it's just because the books that made the biggest impact on me were the books I read that were middle grade books. I remember the first time I read Charlotte's Web by E.B. White, and I love that book. And it really, his writing is so crisp and it just packs so much emotion and simple lines. I still read that book every Christmas because it just reminds me of like good, crisp writing. Later on, Sandra Cisneros, House on Mango Street, things like that, that were from a point of view of a child, just really resonated with me. And so I just always knew I wanted to write for that age group.
Oh,
Yes,
you mentioned some of the good ones.
Yes, and I write for adults too. And I love those books that I write for adults. But I will say that I have more fun not only writing them, but also talking with younger readers. As Angela said, the books that made the most impact in my life were the ones that I found when I was a kid, and they were my best friends.
Yeah.
And so I want to keep creating that. That's what I loved reading, and now that's what I love writing. I also love that writing for children allows you like the possibility to explore even difficult situations, but also through that lens of optimism and that glimmer of hope. Sometimes I'm reading a book for adults that's super popular, and when I finish it, I'm heartbroken and I'm like, what's the purpose of life? I hate this. But in books for children, even if there are such difficult situations like Rafael's, you know that there's gonna better days will come, and that's what I like to do too. I always, even if I'm writing about difficult topics, I want to still present that glimmer of hope and that view that life, yes, it's hard, but it can also be beautiful.
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's see. Which of your books are the best for 5th grade? Gracias.
Definitely Saving Chupie. It's the only middle grade I've ever published. Don't read my young adult work. Don't read it. But definitely, but definitely this one.
Yeah,
Well,
go ahead.
go ahead. Oh no, go ahead, Angela.
Well, I was just going to say definitely The Cursed Moon. I think it's great for fifth graders, especially if you've got kids who maybe want to read Stephen King, but Stephen King is they should not be
Yes.
reading Stephen
No,
King.
no, no.
This is for those who love those kind of books, but can't read Stephen King yet. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? And then I also think I think my mystery book, Me, Frida, and Secret Peacock Ring is a really great book for fifth graders too. So there's my plug for those two books.
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna always going to say that everybody should read Calling the Moon,
Yes.
the period anthology. Not only girls, but also boys. I mean, that book is for everybody, and there's the stories are very different from each other, from a variety of voices. But I also have a lot of books for middle graders, especially my horse country series. I love writing about horses, about this girl Carolina who loves horses and wants to share that love of horses with everybody else. So she creates a writing program for her community. So yeah, I think all my middle grades, my characters are always 11 years old. So perfect for fifth and sixth grade.
Yes, I would also say, yeah, my book is great for fifth graders as well. Oh, always remember my scary starter books for elementary school.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think fifth grade is perfect for Doodles from the Boogie Down. If your kid is interested in or any students are interested in kind of seeing like a slice of life kind of story, a kid growing up in a urban city, first generation in the country, like definitely Doodles from the Boogie Down is for you if you like hiding secrets, big dreams, friend drama. This is a book for you.
Friend drama, yes.
Yes, friend drama.
We can all relate to that.
Definitely. Middle school. Yeah, middle school.
Middle school friend drama, yes.
Yes. Do we have any other questions? Here we have one. Okay. What inspired your stories? Will any of you have sequels? Question.
I hope everyone has sequels.
Yes, definitely.
Mine is a standalone story. It's only one, but it's very open to more stories down the line.
Yeah, mine, I don't have an idea for a sequel yet, but there could be. You never know.
Yes, never say never.
Never say never.
Yes. Well, and I don't have a sequel for the anthology, but definitely there's a similar story of mine coming out next year. It's called The Beautiful Game, and it's very similar to Angela's in the sense that the character of that story is also a girl playing sports in an all-boy team when she gets her period. But I got to explore that experience in a novel length instead of just a short story. And in fact, my character Valeria from The Beautiful Game came many, many years before Angela. And so they kind of and at this point, I don't know which one came first because they kind of inspired each other. But that book will be coming out next year.
Yay! I almost forgot what the question was again. Could someone remind me?
Will yours have a sequel?
Oh yes. Well, yeah, kind of to that. And I'm working on it. So I'm gonna say yes.
Yay!
It's a yes.
So yeah, some more fun adventures with Steph and her gang.
I love it.
Thank you guys so much for answering these questions and playing the game with me. This was so much fun. I hope everyone watching enjoyed it as well. Yeah, thank you again for attending our Would You Rather panel at the Latinx Kidlit Book Festival. All right.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you.
This was such a blast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.